In today's episode, we're going to be interviewing my friend and colleague, Kate Guerra, who occupies a very prestigious position as one of 32 NFL teams as head of communications and corporate relations. She's going to share with us two secrets that really aren't secrets, but they're hard. Two secrets to her success as a leader. And I have a feeling it'll apply to you too.
At Initiative One, we're igniting a leadership revolution by helping organizations eliminate the drama, improve decision-making, and win as a team. Join Dr. Fred Johnson on the Leadership Initiative podcast as we uncover insights to maximize your impact and transform your life.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. Fred Johnson. Welcome back to the Leadership Initiative. It is really a cool day for me because I get to introduce you to a colleague and a friend, Kate Guerra. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Kate. Kate is the Vice President of Communications and Corporate Affairs for the Tennessee Titans. You would look at her and say, whoa, she's pretty young. And how in the world did she land such a prestigious position at her age? Well, all you have to do is sit down with her for a few minutes and you'll figure that out really quickly. She's brilliant. She is avant-garde. She is the epitome of the modern leader. She's a role model not only for female leaders, but for all young leaders. And for older leaders like us who need to stay relevant in today's world. Kate just finished a few moments ago being a keynote speaker at our conference. She nailed it. Our audience loved her. And she did exactly what I thought she was going to do, which was just be you. And you were. So, Kate, I want to welcome you to the Leadership Initiative. We're so glad that you're joining us and to share your insights with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, and especially thank you for calling me young, because I know that I am, but somehow I've just become the oldest in my friend group, and I haven't been feeling that way lately. So thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sometimes in a high tension job like you're in, it feels like we can age very quickly.
So quickly. I just passed my 15-year college graduation anniversary. Wow. And I was telling my dad, can you believe that was 15 years ago? And he said, honey, the older you get, the faster it goes.
Oh
and
gosh.
that sunk with me. Yeah.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that. So we're going to talk. We're just going to chat. As you've looked back on your leadership journey, I mean, you've been in NASCAR, for 8 years?
I was at IndyCar for 8 years. Yes.
Okay.
IndyCar for 8 years. I've been with the Titans for 6.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You did your journalism, sports journalism at Indiana University. Then it was Indiana Purdue University.
Correct.
IUPI.
Yes. Correct.
PUI.
Uh-huh.
And so I started working with you and your leadership team, the executive team at the Titans about 2 years ago, and you immediately caught my attention. And we bonded, and since then, I've introduced you to Tracy, my wife and partner, and you two have bonded. Share, as you look back, I'm going to ask you two questions. One, what was the most difficult season in your life as a leader? A season, we've all been through seasons that hit us up the side of the head. Mm-hmm. And at the time we were going through it, it was like, this is awful. What possible good could come out of this? And yet you look back years later with perspective and you go, man, I hated it at the moment, but did I grow? Can you think, and we haven't practiced this. I mean, we're just both chatting.
Right.
Can you recall one of those incidences, one of those seasons, and what you took away from it that has made you a better person and a leader today? Because there are people watching this that are going through a tough time, and they're questioning themselves, and they're questioning the value of the pathos that they're going through. And you look back, and what we thought was a burden became a blessing. Talk to us about that.
I think that we've all experienced those moments in our careers where, especially when you work in the NFL, it's such a privilege to work in the NFL. There's only 32 teams in the league. There's only so many people who do a job like mine, and there's only so many women who do a job like mine. And so I'm always trying to keep that perspective of how much of a privilege and an honor it is to work in the role that I'm working in with the people that I'm working with and for. At the same time, I think it would be disingenuous of me to say that there haven't been times where I've just wanted to throw my hands up and say, what am I doing? I'm done. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why would I be putting myself through this? There was one time in particular more recently, about a year ago. So I've had 3 different roles with the Titans since I started with the team, and I've really enjoyed each of them. This most recent one was a really interesting transition for me. It was a job that was presented to me as a need for the organization that I was really excited to step into. But there were some personal dynamics at play. I was moving on to a team with somebody who had hired me, who I had the utmost respect for, who was a mentor of mine. Who had been with our organization for over 25 years. Also on that team were people who were friends of mine and great coworkers of mine that I had wonderful relationships with. But again, so much more experience than I had in their roles. And I was nervous about moving on to a team as their leader and gaining their respect because their opinions are very important to me. And how was I going to build a culture where we could all fit together? And also, there was certainly a part of me that thought, why am I being put in this position? And so I took some time to really reflect on how I wanted to approach that situation and making sure that I did so in the most graceful way possible and in the most authentic way possible of coming in and saying, I'm very well aware of your experience. I have so much respect for your experience. I'm going to have to learn from you throughout this process. And I want to let you know that where I feel like I can support you and help you is by removing obstacles that are in your way, by listening to, it was a team that hardly spoke up for things that they really needed. I want to be that advocate for you, and I want to hear about things that you're dealing with that maybe you thought we just had to deal with, when I think that a good number of them might actually have solutions. And so why don't we start there? Why don't we start with, I'm just going to learn from you. I just want to know more about what you do. And then if there are things that come up in the meantime that I can help you get, whether that be a new printer or something that, as small as that, or as big as we need more headcount for our department because we're all drowning in work. Just come to me with those thoughts and ideas, and over time, maybe we can address them together. And so once I took that opportunity and approached it in that way, and I just started realizing that the team around me saw me for what I was trying to do. Which was trying to be a help and not try to flex your correct
your new power.
And also, I think and I'm glad I got to this point with them. I think they believed me that I was being genuine and that I was being authentic in saying, I really need to learn from you and I just want to help. And I think that having their believe in what I was trying to do and what the organization was trying to do in putting me on the team made our process of gelling together, building that team culture together so much more easy than if I had come into the situation and said, I'm your boss now. This is what we're going to do.
New sheriffs
in town.
Yeah.
Because that would have been unnatural for me, for one. But it also would have been a complete disrespect to the great experience and knowledge that they already had.
So that raises a question for me, Kate. You know, there have been times in my career that I have been genuine, that I have been real and authentic, but because of someone's own baggage, they're immediately suspect. Is this person for real? This is too good to be true. You know, and that skepticism. What would you say to this group when you are being you and you're met with someone who has chronic distrust? Well, one, we know that people with chronic distrust are not going to last very long on a team. But what would you say to a leader that has embraced leadership today, that you've got to be you've got to be authentic, you've got to take a risk and put yourself out there and be real and vulnerable, and they're being questioned? What would you say to that person?
I think the number one thing that I could say to that person is your actions have to match your words. Because if that is, at least for me anyway, the easiest way to get me to lose trust in a leader is if what they're telling me isn't matching what's actually happening. And so you could plan and especially in my field as a communications professional, sometimes finding the words aren't necessarily the hard part, right? People can be good with words. But if you're not backing up your promises with consistent and reliable action, then you're not going to gain the trust of that person who is more hesitant to buy into what you're trying to teach and build around them.
So do you find yourself trying to convince them of your sincerity, or show that you're trustworthy? I mean, I have my own take on that, but I'd like to hear yours.
I think here's the other thing too that I would add to the first comment is something that was difficult for me that I would say over the past 2 to 3 years, seen a lot of growth in myself in, is not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like you. And
a lot of times that has nothing to do with you.
And a lot of times it literally has nothing to do with you and everything with them.
Yeah.
And so in your personal life, you know, you can find ways to work around that person or remove them from your life. At work, you know, this is somebody that is on your team or on a different team that you're going to have to see every day.
Several times.
All the time, you know? And so I think the key there is all you can do is be yourself. Mm-hmm. All you can do is say what you mean and then back up what you're saying with action. And some people are going to get on board and some people aren't. If it's a member of your team and, you know, it's somebody that you'd like to keep on your team, at some point you're going to have to sit down and have a conversation with them about, hey, we need to, it's okay if we don't go have a drink after work, but we need to align on our goals and our mission here. Here is what I see as the vision for your specific work. Are we aligned on that? And how can I help you keep doing and reach those goals?
And I still need you, so-and-so, to show respect.
Exactly.
I'm not asking you to be best buds, but I am asking you to afford to me what I'm giving to you,
right?
Which is respect and dignity in treating me as an infinite, a human being of infinite worth. Mm-hmm. I've told people that we have no choice we have no control in whether someone chooses to trust us. In fact, I've found that the harder I work at trying to get someone's trust, typically it goes the other way because people start going, whoa, you're
This
working.
person's trying too hard.
What
Right.
is going on here?
Right.
I have found that the one thing that I can control in my relationships as a leader is to be trustworthy, to act with honor, with integrity, to treat people as you would want to be treated, to certainly speak truth, certainly have integrity and honesty. But sometimes that's not enough. And what I've learned is as long as all I can control is being trustworthy. And if that's not good enough for you, I'm not going to be angry at you. I'm not going to be resentful. I'm just going to let you sit in that space. And I'm going to be me. And I'm not going to give my power to you.
Right.
And I have found that when you're able to let other people be where they are, as long as they're not being disruptive to your work culture, as long as they're not being disrespectful, as long as they're not being a bad teammate, I can go on about my business. What has your experience been when people have done that to you?
You know, particularly early in my career, when I was working in racing, and I was one of the only women walking around the paddock, but also one of the only young women walking around the paddock. And I felt more people looking at me for my age than my gender. And I felt, even particularly from other women who were more experienced in their careers, I was desperately seeking mentorship at that time. I didn't know what I was doing. I needed somebody who could teach me the right way to go about my business and about things in a world that I didn't know a lot about and didn't see a lot of myself around me to relate to. And so there were people who were very helpful in reaching out and being that mentor for me. And there were people who were not. And that was hard for me at first. But ultimately, all you can do is just keep doing your job.
Yeah.
And, we're always going to have to work with difficult people throughout our careers. And as long as your organization and your leaders and you yourself as a leader have outlined a clear vision with goals and values that everybody is aligned on, that's your common ground.
Yeah.
And so even if to your point, we're not going to go hang out after work, we are aligned if we're both wanting to be members of this organization and we believe in what we're doing on these values that have been laid forth for us or that we've laid forth ourselves. And so let's just go do them together and get our business done.
So it's learning how to detach, stay engaged. But I call detachment the ability to not let someone else having a bad day ruin your day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then also as a leader, sometimes you see people doing that for other people's days, the naysayers or the people who are just the grumblers, and then you have to have a conversation with that person on, hey, I hear you and I understand your perspective, but we gotta talk about morale. We gotta talk about how we move beyond this place that you're at right now, because we have to keep the team moving forward. And I need your help in that. I need you to be a leader in helping me push this forward.
What would you say to the audience that's listening is the most valuable piece of information or advice that you've ever been given?
There's a few. One of the things that was really helpful for me when I was first starting in my career was you don't have to have the answer to everything. And
which is so anti the way it used to be.
So anti the way it used to be.
I've got to be an expert in everything, or I'm a weak leader.
Yes. Just like we spoke about at the leadership conference, people were always told at the beginnings when they're trying to figure something out, just fake it till you make it. Just pretend you know what you're doing, figure it out. Don't let people see that you're struggling. Don't let them see that you don't know the answer to something, because then you'll be the target for them.
Yes.
And once I was given the validation and the freedom to make mistakes and to say to somebody, you know what? I don't know the answer to that question, but I think I know how to get it. I know somebody who has it. So let me circle back with you on that. It was really powerful to because what that also does is it allows me to go connect with people who do have answers to things, and they see that I'm curious about it. And then they're willing to share their information with me. It makes them feel trusted. It makes them feel good.
That's leadership today, because when going to someone saying, look, I've got a problem that I'm responsible for solving, but I don't know the answer. I need your help. How most people would receive that today is, you're not only asking me for my assistance, you value me.
Yes.
You value me as a person, my contribution. And that's one of the most powerful things a leader can do today, if it's genuine, that builds trust as a result, is just to say, look, I need your help. I can't do this without you.
Yes. And I think that there are some people who are overwhelmed by that when somebody's coming to them and saying, I need your help with something, and they already feel like they're drowning. That can be stressful for them. For me, and I think to your point, for a good number of leaders, that is just music to my ears.
That's right.
When somebody comes to me and says, Kate, I can't do this alone. I really need you to help me with this. My heart just flutters.
Yeah, I'm not asking you, Kate, to take on my workload.
Correct.
I need your wisdom.
Yes.
I need your guidance and your experience.
Yes. That is what makes me feel trusted as a leader. And I think that it is a good culture building opportunity for your coworkers and your teammates when you're able to extend that request to them as well.
So as we wrap this up, if you could give one other one, is don't be afraid to reach out for help. It's not an act of weakness. It's actually an act of strength and security as a leader that shows that you're comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
What else? Last piece of information or advice you'd give?
The last piece of information would just be, and we've talked about it in different ways already, is just to be yourself.
Yeah.
Just to be authentically you. And I was speaking with somebody after the conference today who was saying, I know that's what I need to do. And so I just need to do it. I just need to remind myself that I have it in me to accomplish the things that I've set my mind to. And I think maybe when people hear just be you, they get a little scared of that in terms of, well, but I don't know if I'm good enough. And what I explained to this young woman after the conference was, when you're you is not a fixed thing. You is going to grow and change and evolve as you go through literal life, whether it's because you get a new job, you go through a new experience and you learn something you get married, you have kids, like all of these things grow and evolve our lives. And so just be you as a principle is also ever evolving, as long as it doesn't mean that you're never going to grow into something else. It just means that as you're growing, you're remaining true to yourself as you're going through that leadership journey.
So Kate has laid out two simple, but not simple to always practice, truths about powerful leaders today. One is they're not afraid to reach out and say, I can't do this alone and I need your help. You know more about this than me, and let's be partners on that. That's an act of strength today, not an act of weakness. And the second is, don't try to be someone you're not. Don't try to fit someone else's expectations of who you should be. Be you. It's a recipe for failure if you try to be someone else in your own skin. And you were so highly received today.
So glad.
By
Thank you.
people who just needed to hear that simple but so much needed. Just be yourself. be yourself. And if that's not enough, then you're in the wrong place. And it is so good to have you with us. And I appreciate you as a friend and a colleague. And thank you for being our guest today.
Same to you. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to continuing to watch this podcast, and all the things that I'm learning through this podcast as well. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Kate Guerra, head of communications and corporate relations for the Tennessee Titans, and my friend. And it's good to have you. We welcome you again. Thank you for joining us on the Leadership Initiative. We hope that you'll continue to check us out on the website, initiative1.com, that you'll, if you haven't attended our think tanks, we do that once a month. We have up to a couple thousand people a month who attend those to learn about what great leadership looks like in today's world, to lead an exceptional life of high impact and making a difference in the lives of other people. Thank you, and we wish you well today on the Leadership Initiative.